Hello all, Old Geek here, and on my screen I have The Dragon issue number 22. This is February 1979, and volume 3, number 8, still $2, and it says The Dragon Little Wars. Okay. Cover. Another one that looks a bit like Warduke. Second cover I've seen that there's a Warduke similarity. Not quite though. It's similar. I think that cover's crap. To be honest, it's just a mishmash. We've got miniatures. We've got a photograph of people battle reconstruction, and we've got a little bit of a dodgy drawing of a Warduke clone. Yes, it predates Warduke, I know, but it's a bit of a cheap cover, I think. International DMs list, sneak preview of the Dungeon Master's Guide and the First Assassins. Dungeon Master's Guide, first edition AD&D. Probably the best RPG game book ever published. Just my opinion, of course. But I'm not wrong, am I? No. Valpartha adverts. They've taken a backward step again. That looks messy. Might just be a dodgy scan. Convention schedule 1979. Let's have a look at what we've got on here. Dundrakon. Okay. JaneCon South. Emperor's Birthday Convention, number 8. Emperor's Birthday, eh? MonCon, Spring Revel, Tippecanoe and Fantasy 2. Some interesting names here, aren't there? The Great Canadian Games Adventure, Michicon 8, all American and Canadian at the moment, and GenCon 12, Origins 79, to be or not to be. They're saying there are rumours, but we're not publishing them. There are rumours, but we're not telling you. They're going to stay as rumours. Okay. I don't know whether Origin 79 happened or not, but what's this? Statement of ownership. What? What? What are these forms for? They're just some sort of proof of something or other? I don't know. All right. Seems a bit odd. Right, here we go. Dragon Rumbles. Convention news. First Assassins. Irresistible Force. Armies of the Renaissance. Reviews. Mapping the dungeon. Dungeons and Dragons. What it is and where it is going. Fourth Dimension. AD&D. Sneak preview. ADD. Sneak preview. Stalemate at Kassala, Phineas Fingers, and the nomenclature of polearms. Oh, polearms. Love polearms. Okay. So we begin with the First Assassins. Apologies if you get a clumsy cut just there. My recording software just threw wobbly. Right, the First Assassins. There's a Sutherland picture, a note pinned to a pillar. What's it about? It's not fiction. It's talking about 1078 AD. Oh, we're talking about the it's a bit of history. So the history of the word assassin, where the assassin class has come from. Yep, here we are. Look, the meaning of the word assassin is a subject for a academic debate. Maybe derived from either users of hashish or followers of Hassan. Okay? Be interesting to see whether historians have come up with a more concrete conclusion regarding that in the 45 years since this magazine was published. I know the word thug comes from Thuggy, and they were a group of assassins in India in go back to the 13th, 14th century, sometime around then. So I knew where I mean I knew where assassins originated, but regarding the word, it'd be interesting to find out. I like these sort of articles. I'm a nerd, so this is the sort of thing I would come back and read. Search of the Nile at the Dungeon Hobby Shop. It's a book a game they reviewed of the last few issues. Irresistible Force, a brief account of the rise of the Swiss Confederation with commentary on their military tactics by Gary Gygax. Okay, so we've got more military history. Gary informs us that while Gygax is an ancient Swiss name, the name means seesaw or up and down in Macedonian. In any event, the author's father was born in Canton Bern, Switzerland, so he's more than usually interested in the military history of that country. Is that why we've got all those lovely European polearms? Because the Swiss were known for their polearms. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, more military stuff, more military history. I find this sort of thing interesting. I've done quite a lot of reading about certainly British medieval military history, the various weapons, the various campaigns, 100 Years' War, Wars of the Roses, like all the battles against the Scots and the Welsh. Yeah, I like reading that sort of stuff. How a phalanx was set up. Armoured man at the front, pikemen behind, upright weapons ready to deploy where people die in front, I guess. Why are the halberdiers tucked back? Are they there as sort of like a just in case, protect the banner? I guess so, because the banners are towards the back. Yeah, makes sense, I guess. Right, let me keep going. More about the Swiss. Armies of the Renaissance. What's this? The Renaissance is said to extend from the end of the 100 Years' War to the final ban on pikes issued by Queen Anne in England in 1703. Begins with the dominance of the armoured lancer and ended with the dominance of the musket-armed foot soldier. Yeah, though people will always come in and say, but gunpowder was invented much earlier. This was the period, late 15th, early 16th century initially, when portable firearms began to appear on battlefields. They were horribly unreliable, they were utterly inaccurate, but if you put a big line of them, a couple of hundred of them, just sort of firing volleys, they were brutal. Battle of Cerignola, I believe, was the first military engagement at which it's believed that firearms really turned the tide of the battle in Europe. First European military engagement, I think, was Battle of Cerignola. But when was that? When was it? Again, late 15th, early 16th century, I think. I prefer my D&D to be more late 14th to early 15th century, so 1360s through to about 1440s. So it's before firearms really came in. But certainly, if I was running in a game around 1500, you wouldn't have an accurate arquebus or musket or anything like that, because they didn't exist. It's impossible to be accurate with them. They just went boom. But if you're running 1600s, then yeah, of course, you'd have something like that. Castles are different, though. If you are defending a castle, you can have a cannon. They've been around for a while. Big cannons up in the turrets. Yeah. But and maybe a bit of artillery as well on the battlefield. The battlefield artillery was beginning as well around this time. So again, not particularly accurate. Didn't need to be firing at masses of men though. Anyway, here we go. Let's keep going. I like all this military history. That's good. I'm a nerd. I like to see that in this sort of magazine. Reviews, Upscope. Guessing that's short for Periscope, and it is. It's a submarine warfare game. You'll either love it or you hate it if this is not a mediocre game. Okay. So, obviously, he likes it, but you take what you get. This one isn't bad, I just wish it were better. Okay. Well, that does mean mediocre. Not bad, wish it were better. That's the meaning of mediocre. Nothing special, okay? I'm not a fan of subs. I can't think of anything worse than being trapped in a tiny space underwater for a very long time. I think it could be awful. Facing the Frost. What's this, a book? A well-written novel, it says. Okay. Panzerkrieg. It's going to be a war game, which it is. Recommend this title to anyone who enjoys the Eastern Front or simply enjoys a good historical game, no matter what the subject. Okay. Bad to worse. Reviews of Apprentice number 2 and Phoenix. Gary Gygax. What's this? There's an old axiom which says that one can determine the curse struck by its yapping after throwing a stone into a pack of dogs. Both of these amateur magazines show definite signs of doing quite a bit of such yapping. Possibly due to a past editorial regarding the worthlessness of such publications. Rather than disproving the assertions about the shabby quality and lack of worthwhile material, however, both Apprentice and Phoenix serve to justify assertions that such magazines are a waste of the reader's money and time. Consider the following. Okay, Gary Gygax, you didn't like the fanzine. I'm guessing that you didn't like fanzines. That's the impression I get here. And yeah, of course, things are going to be, the quality's going to be all over the place. But, dear darling Dragon magazine, you've not been perfect so far. We're 22 issues in and we're about 50-50, aren't we? Whether some have been good. About half I've been really positive about so far. And the other half have ranged from meh to... And I know you're trying to cater for a lot of genres, but your layout, your trying to think. Yeah, I mean, layout certainly leaves a bit to be desired from time to time. Let's have a little bit more. Apprentice, published editor Dave Berman, is a reasonable, well... That's fallen in rather nicely. There's a typo. Is a reasonably well printed, offset 20-page magazine plus cover. Sells for $1. It's half the price of the Dragon. And if its contents were intelligent, it would possibly be worth the price. They are not, and it is not. Look, I have a lot of respect for Gary Gygax for his role in bringing this game to the world, and I like his writing style. People hate it. I like it. I think it inspires, and it certainly inspired me to get a dictionary out when I was 12. But and he writes brilliant adventures. There's a lot of strong imagination there. But when he gets on his high horse, he can come across as a bit of a knob, and I think he is here. Of course, I've not read Apprentice or Phoenix, but Gygax isn't doing himself any favours. Bit of friendly encouragement. Or do you see these magazines as rivals? I don't know. He was positive about White Dwarf, though, so I guess he has to be, because White Dwarf started, first few episodes of White Dwarf were better than Dragon. I know White Dwarf has slipped back a little bit since. They seem to be running out of steam, certainly in the last few issues, and Dragon is getting better, but it does yo-yo. It yo-yos between the two. Anyway, I'm going to come back and read that, because I think it's going to be interesting what he says, and whether he just lays into it with a bit of nerdy clumsiness that we have, yes. Mapping the dungeons, international DM search. Okay. 500 plus names of referees of role-playing games in general. 500 plus names. This can be quite big. Hold on. This is page 18. Right. This is a good idea to have a directory of DMs who want to run games. Let's see how far this goes on for. Actually, I'm going to look at the length of the magazine first. Magazine, yes. 54, 55, 50, 56 pages, so it's nearly twice as big as usual. So it doesn't matter how long this directory is because they've added pages to this issue. Fantastic. Right, good. Big directory of DMs, names and addresses. Excellent. Though I do wish they wouldn't put adverts in the middle of it. There's no need for that. No need for it at all. Look at this, it's continuing onwards. There must be... continue on page 26. Is there about 10 pages of this directory? We're still going. It's only on page 18. A couple of adverts. And here we have... Oh, this is the last page because you've got Canada and other foreign and... Okay. Because the rest of it was America. Canada and other foreign. Let's just put the foreigners in the corner. A few Australians. Lots of Australians. Loads of Australians. Half of Canada and other foreign is Australian. Should it not say Australia and other foreign? Quite a few Canadians. There's Ed Greenwood. Wonder how many other names. That we might recognise have cropped up in this. Maybe come back and have a bit of a flick through. Only Brits. Canada. France, Germany, Great Britain, Wales, Swansea. It's a long way from me. About 150, 160 odd miles from me. I know. Distances feel bigger in Britain. Iran and Japan. Okay. But they are American sounding names. So I'm guessing they're people posted out there or working out there. Right. Okay. Let's move on. Even the one in Germany looks to be Raymond F. McCaughey. German. He's not German, clearly, but he might be on a posting in Germany. Dungeons and Dragons, what it is and where's it going? Another Gygax article. Lots of Gygax in this issue. Lots and lots of Gygax. Has he just finished writing the Dungeon Master's Guide? Because I know we've got a preview of that coming up, haven't we? So I guess he's got time on his hands and he's having verbal diarrhea. I'll come back and read this. So then I laughs and says to him, gee, half the party wiped out and they only loot a single +1 arrow. That's pretty funny. What you going to do with it? What? Oh, yeah. Okay. Look at the picture. He's got an arrow shoved through his ears. He's obviously not got much brain in his eggs. There's no brain on the other side of the arrow, and he's still alive. But, yeah. That's what happens when you're cheeky to somebody. You get an arrow shoved through your head. First official Invitational Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Masters Tournament. Okay, following people were invited, and about 20 are expected to participate in the tournament. Ian Livingston and Steve Jackson from Games Workshop. Some famous names here. Some famous names on here. I wonder if they all went. Oh, the results are below. Who won? Bob Blake. Right, look on the list above. Bob Blake, D&D Gen Con Tournament Coordinator. Winner, Bob Blake. Bob is the coordinator of the annual D&D tourney at Gen Con. Second place went to Len Lakofka. Jeff Leeson, Tim Kask, Alan Hammack. Gary Gygax was 10th. Skip Williams, Jim Ward. These are names I recognise. Fourth Dimension, a new release from TSR. Advertising your new release has its immediate ancestor, the venerable game of chess, but the resemblance ends quickly. Okay. Chess is still being played. I've never heard of Fourth Dimension. So that shows how it went. Sneak preview. The AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide. Here we go. How big is this sneak preview? And what are they previewing? Magic items. An advert for Slit's Revenge. Oh no, they're breaking it up with an advert again. More magic items. Cool. Creatures struck only by magic weapons. Grenade-like missiles. Area of effects. Okay. Attack matrices. Clerics. Does this have... Oh, I'm interested here. Does this have the monk error on it? Yeah, attack matrix for thieves, assassins and monks. Weren't they supposed to attack as clerics? And wasn't this an error? And if so, why was it not found here? I believe that was errated, wasn't it, at some point? But the monks are meant to attack as clerics. Assassin's Table, monsters attacks. International Dungeon Design Competition. I saw that in the last issue. Turning Undead. Psionics. These are sort of core rules, core framework rules, which is good. Apart from maybe psionics. I wonder if they've done this to help people in the interim run those modules they're already putting out, like your G1s, your D1s, D3s. Was the Village of Hamlet out yet? Or is it around now? That sort of thing. More on psionics. It's a bit of a waste of space. Saving foes. This is quite big. This is really chunky. Okay, item saving foes. SPI on AD&D. Let's have a little look here. A recent review of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook in SPI's House Organ Strategy and Tactics demonstrated that the reviewer, Richard Berg, does not play Dungeons and Dragons. Oh, Gygax is off on one in this one. This handicap prevented him from intelligently contrasting and comparing the old game form with the new, and it proved to be a fatal drawback in terms of the value of the statements Mr. Berg made. Pontificating from his lofty height, the reviewer boldly asserted that the Player's Handbook was not a game design, but merely a simple rewriting of what had already been given in the original Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. I'm going to make a little comment here. I like the Player's Handbook. Very few mechanics in it, though. You can't run the game with the Player's Handbook. And maybe that's what he's coming from. Maybe the idea was... I get the line of thought that the players shouldn't know all the mechanics. And to some extent, I agree with it. Some of my best games have been with brand new players who haven't fully grasped the game mechanics. It makes them more imaginative because they're not thinking how things will work mechanically. They're just thinking, what should I do in this environment? It's up to me as DM to work out what mechanics, if any, to use. And it's a refreshing way of playing. And maybe this reviewer was looking at it from that sort of angle. Sorry. Gygax, I know, promotes that sort of angle. But maybe this reviewer was looking at it from the angle that he's not used to that sort of thing, where the idea is that the players know, more of a wargamer angle. The players know all the rules and play more tactically. It all depends, because remember, a lot of D&D at this time was still quite wargamey. So maybe that's what he expected. Could be. I think it's a case of wires being crossed, perhaps, because in terms of a rules book, the Player's Handbook's rubbish. In terms of a book for inspiring people to make player characters, it's great. So all the rules are in the Dungeon Master's Guide, most of them. Right. Gygax is starting fights, though. Dear nerdy friends, nerds have always fought. Stalemate at Kassala. What's this? Is this another military history thing? Okay. Not a battle I know anything about. Claudius versus Ethiopians. Iago. Alright, okay. I'll come back and have a look at that. Are we at the end? What's a crummy ad like this doing in a classy magazine? It is an awful ad. It's really badly done, that is. Avalon Hill. But at least you're being self-effacing about it. Here's Phineas Fingers. I don't read Phineas Fingers. Have we got no Wormy this time? Polearms. Nomenclature of polearms. More Gary Gygax, but more at my street as well. So we've got spears, pikes, lances, spetums. Answer. Poleaxe. Never got the poleaxe properly in D&D, did we? Because it would have just been the uber weapon. Poleaxe is awesome. Halberds, badishes, the great axe basically. Vulge, glaive, Lochaber axe, billock. That's an odd looking billock. I'm not seeing the billock looking much like that. Military fork, gizarm, foresharp. Oh, what a morning star and a fictional flail. I don't know what they're doing in here. Lucerne hammer, great weapon. Foresharp fork, rubbish weapon. Glaive gizarm, gizarm vulge, bill gizarm. This is thinking that picture before was the English bill. This is very much what the later English bills. Battle of Flodden was won by English billmen using these. Foresharp gizarm. What's the point? Vector Corbin, good weapon. Good weapon. I like polearms. Fantastic, especially the late ones, the tin opener ones, the Swiss Army knife type polearms. Good stuff. Continued from page 4. Was the editorial right at the end? Yeah. Well done, Mr. Cask. An adventure in search of the unknown, the first basic adventure. We talked about it on the stream last Wednesday. And that is it. Right. What I am going to say, 56 pages. Magnificent. I like the fact that they didn't skimp on other content to fit in that preview of the Dungeon Master's Guide and that big directory of DMs. I think that's great, because if they'd skimped on other content, then this would have been a bit of a dodgy issue. The cover's still dodgy, but I like all that military history. I can now see why they've got these pictures on the cover. All that military history is great. Having all those AD&D mechanics in there as a sneak preview of the Dungeon Master's Guide, superb. Especially if the Dungeon Master's Guide has been pushed back to 1979, which I believe it was. Oh, it is, but this is a 1979 magazine. So yeah, okay. Correct me there. I'm correcting myself. The DMG is imminent, but still, that sneak preview allows people to run the line of modules that they are currently producing. Great. Really good issue. Really, really good issue. Very different. Very, very different, but worthwhile. Very worthwhile. Well done, Dragon. I think you've just taken the lead over White Dwarf, because White Dwarf have wobbled lately. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this read through. I've been the Old Geek. See ya.